What if everything you've been told about America's money, how it's created, who controls it, and why it's constantly losing value was never the full story? What if the financial pressure you're feeling right now, higher prices, shrinking savings, endless debt, wasn't an accident, but the result of a century-old plan written in secret? This isn't just a theory, it's history, buried under layers of secrecy, power, and the signatures of 7 men who quietly redrew the financial map of the world in 1910. They called it a reform meeting. But what really happened on Jekyll Island was the creation of a financial weapon, one that would enslave generations under a system of debt-based money and perpetual inflation. And here's the twist. Every dollar in your wallet, every digital transaction, every mortgage, and every stimulus check traces back to that single weekend. Before we travel back in time, drop your country or state in the comments. It's fascinating to see how far this truth can travel. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Because this isn't about sanitized economics, it's about who really prints the power. Ready? Let's go back to 1910. It's November 1910. A private train leaves Hoboken, New Jersey under the cover of night. No reporters, no public records. Even the men on board use code names to hide their true identities. Their destination: Jekyll Island, a secluded resort off the coast of Georgia, owned by America's wealthiest families. The passengers: Senator Nelson Aldrich, a man deeply connected to the Rockefellers; Frank Vanderlip, president of National City Bank, which we now know as Citibank; Henry P. Davison and Charles Norton, both partners of the legendary J.P. Morgan; and Paul Vorbrook, a European banker trained under the Rothschilds. They weren't there to relax. They came to completely rebuild America's monetary system, which had been shaken by repeated banking panics. The official story was that they were seeking financial stability. The truth was consolidation of power. The Federal Reserve System they designed wasn't built to protect the people, it was built to protect the banks. Sound familiar? Every time Wall Street gets bailed out while Main Street suffers, it's the same playbook being used. 3 years later, their secret plan became law, the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. It handed a private banking cartel control over the nation's money supply. They could create credit from nothing, expand or contract the economy at will, and charge interest on money that never even physically existed. Does that sound like freedom or engineered dependence? Since then, every major financial collapse, the Great Depression, the stagflation of the 1970s, the 2008 crash, can be traced back to that 1910 blueprint. They told us the Fed would stabilize prices. Instead, the dollar has lost over 97% of its purchasing power. They said it would prevent crises. Instead, it institutionalized them. It's a cycle of crisis, panic, and consolidation. And every single time, wealth moves upward, and power becomes more centralized. At the center of it all was Paul M. Vorbrook, a German-born banker who imported the European model of central banking right into the heart of American capitalism. Vorbrook wasn't just designing a national bank, he was building a global mechanism of control, one that could fund empires in wartime and manage entire economies in peacetime. He sold it to Congress as reform, but it was a financial chewer, transfer of power from the people to private interests, cleverly disguised as progress. And most Americans never even noticed. So, what did they actually build? A system based on fractional reserve banking, the invisible engine that creates unlimited debt. Here's a simple breakdown. You deposit $1,000 in a bank. The bank keeps maybe $100 and loans out the other $900. That loan then becomes a new deposit in another bank, which loans out a portion of it, and so on. By the end of this cycle, your original $1,000 can multiply into $10,000 circulating in the system, all of it born from debt, not from real, tangible wealth. The Federal Reserve doesn't just print money, it creates credit, which are essentially liabilities disguised as assets. Every new dollar is born as debt owed back with interest that can never be fully repaid. That isn't the flaw in the system, that is the design. Fast forward to 1971. President Richard Nixon officially severs the dollar's link to gold, freeing it from all physical constraints. From that day on, U.S. money wasn't backed by gold, silver, or anything tangible. It became pure belief, a fiat currency managed by a private central bank. And when that belief begins to fade, collapse is sure to follow. Think about the pattern. 1929 led to the Great Depression and the centralization of banking. 1971 saw the dollar decoupled from gold, leading to global petrodollar dominance. 2008 brought the financial crisis and the era of quantitative easing. And in 2020, the pandemic stimulus paved the way for digital money and discussions about CBDCs. Every solution leads to more control in the hands of fewer people. The Fed wasn't designed to prevent collapses. It was built to manage them, control the cycle, and you own the outcome. Now, we stand at the new frontier: digital currency. Central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, promise convenience but deliver unprecedented control. Imagine money that can expire, be frozen, or be restricted based on your behavior. That's not a currency, that's a leash. And the blueprint for it was written over a century ago with the same mindset that gathered on Jekyll Island. Different tools, same mission. So, where does that leave us? In a world where every paycheck, every mortgage, and every loan ties back to a plan drafted in secret. A system that requires perpetual debt to stay alive is now collapsing under its own weight. Inflation isn't just a symptom, it's a feature of the design. When the next crisis hits and your savings exist only as digits on a screen, your access to them might depend on your compliance. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's the logical conclusion of a system born in secrecy and sustained by dependence. The Jekyll Island story isn't about the past, it's about the present collapse hiding in plain sight. If this has opened your eyes, hit that subscribe button and share this with someone who still believes the system is too big to fail. The truth is, it was built to fall, just not on them. The next chapter of financial control isn't coming, it's already here. And it all began in 1910.